What is that?
We're live.
Live?
Yeah. Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live. We're coming to you live from Dallas, Texas, where Robert and I have attended NADA 2023, which is basically our Super Bowl in automotive. And I just realized that I need to flip this to comments. We're on mobile today. Normally I'm in the studio with the green screen and all. So hopefully we won't have any issues today. But so welcome. It was great to see Robert because we don't see each other that often.
Great to see you, Paul.
At different events and things like that.
Yeah, it's really nice to get to see people face to face. Our Fixed Ops brothers.
John Fraser, speaking of Fixed Ops brothers. Hey, you two of my favorite guys.
You know he's in Dallas.
No, yeah, Dallas, Georgia. Different Dallas.
I'm coming to Dallas, John Fraser. Bring my guitar.
We have to make that road trip. Yeah. So we've been thinking about it for a while. We know it's coming up every year. You kind of came late, right?
Yep.
What was the thought process with that?
Well, I wanted to come, and then we own a small business, a brick and mortar business. My wife really needed help, and I didn't want to leave her without coverage.
Okay.
But then our teams are doing such a great job, really. The teams are doing such a great job. Then I was like, okay, I'm not leaving you without coverage. In fact, she almost was able to come.
Ah.
And that would have been better. I mean, she would have enjoyed it because the connections, the people, learning about different, all the educational stuff, it applies in any business, really. Leadership stuff, team building.
Well, I love your wife, but I'm glad she didn't come because then my wife would give me crap for not coming. But we too have a retail store back home, and we can't both leave the store. As it is, she's going to a show in the city with some friends, and I'll be manning the store solo for 2 days. So anybody that's coming into our yarn shop in Niantic, be on the lookout. The corny dad jokes are going to be in full force.
So wait, her license plate is the yarn girl?
Oh, God.
And you're going to get a license plate that is a car guy?
No. Well, I have BFP.com. That's my license.
That's right. Okay.
So my thought process was, in coming to NADA, a lot of people come, right? And I think that a few less people came to Dallas than would have gone to Las Vegas. And I think quite simply because Las Vegas has gambling, lots of booze, and other things that would draw people to it. So although maybe a few less people came this time, the people that did come, I think, were more focused on growing their dealership.
You know, I don't think less people came. So I went into the other big room that seats about 5,000 to 10,000 people, and I think there were about 7,000 people in that room, dealers.
Yikes.
So all those people were not in the exhibition hall. So these dealers, I think they brought their teams. In fact, I talked to a lot of them. I talked to service managers, I talked to parts managers that came with their dealers, which was really cool. You had these general managers with their service managers, but they were in different rooms. So this convention center is so big. I mean, this is Texas. This is almost as
everything's big in Texas.
Yeah, this convention center is almost as big as a Buc-ee's.
You know, I still have to make it to a Buc-ee's. I've heard lots of great things about Buc-ee's, and I've still never been.
All kidding aside, it's so big that to walk from one end to the other and back, you got your 10,000 steps for the day.
Oh, easily.
And how many times did we walk? It's amazing. But there were a lot of people. So I saw the dealers there were a lot of dealer events in several different venues, and you couldn't see them all together because it's so spread out. It's so big. I know Vegas has some nice conference centers, but this is huge.
A lot of overflow rooms. Now, speaking of dealers, I want to give a congratulations to Gary Rome, who was voted the Dealer of the Year with Time magazine.
Yeah, and I was in the room because my friend Steve Applebaum's dealer, who owns 5 Kia dealerships, they were nominated. They were one of the nominees for the award.
Oh.
It was really cool to see 48 dealerships giving so much back. One of the dealers, of course, they said they gave over $20 million to different causes over the last decade.
It's amazing. I mean, there's so many really great dealers that do contribute to society. And Gary Rome, he's got a Hyundai store in Western Massachusetts. He's also got a group on Facebook, Growing Hollyoak, I think it is. And I used to go to his store. His dog passed away recently, which was kind of sad. Because when you'd walk into Gary's store, the dog would always greet you. Big fluffy dog. We got a couple of comments here. Let's see here. John Frazier throws up the double laughing face emojis. He's probably to comment about my wife. Robert Magliaccio, good evening. And Joshua Taylor says, live from the airport, TGIF, while I wait for my plane, which is now delayed. Well, I'm leaving.
Josh Taylor's such a cool guy. It's so nice hanging out with you, Josh.
Yeah, the dinner last night was fabulous.
Yep.
We had, I think, 12 people at Pecan's Barbecue.
Pecan's Barbecue, downtown Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, that's fabulous. I got a little bit of everything, and there's no barbecue like Texas barbecue, unless maybe Cincinnati?
South Carolina.
South Carolina?
Oh, we have some good barbecue, but hey, I have something to say to Joe Clementi. I see Joe is in there, right? Did I see Joe's name pop up?
Let's see. We got Jeff Daniel. Finally met them both. Keep spreading the passion, guys. Oh, it was great to see you, Jeff.
We heard a couple of sirens or something, downtown. So Joe
yeah, he's there.
Joe said, "Put away the camera. We're downtown. You don't want to look like a tourist." So, hey, Joe, all I can say about that, you got to risk it for the brisket.
That's it. I like that, man. And the brisket was good. Let me tell you.
The brisket was delicious. Although some said it was a little bit dry, but I got in trouble. I went to the bathroom while I was waiting for my order, and I heard from the bathroom, "Order 434 is ready." And I said, "Well, that's me," but I was washing my hands. And within about 10 seconds, the lady said, "Once again, order 434 is ready." So when I walked up to the counter, I see there's no coleslaw on there. And I said, "Ma'am, I ordered coleslaw also." And she said, "It's not on your ticket. You're not getting coleslaw." I was like, "Okay, all right. I'm going to be okay with that coleslaw."
This barbecue place, Pecans, and the other one that we're going through tonight, Terry Black's Barbecue, the line is from the counter all the way around the outer perimeter, all the way to the front door, out the front door, and down the block. I mean, it's crazy.
If I want to do some quick math, there had to be about 130 per people in line.
Easily, yeah.
Easily, 130 to 150 people.
It's got to be probably the best peach cobbler I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I've had a few of those. Haven't been to as many restaurants as I have. John Frazier says, okay, where was the best barbecue, Paul? I would have to say Terry Black's was my number one favorite pick, and that's why we're going back there tonight.
That's right. No coleslaw for you. No coleslaw for you.
Joe Clementi says, evening, gents. Great connecting with both of you and so many more like-minded people. LinkedIn user, this time Mike Vogel. Says, hey guys, wish I was there with you. Have a great show idea. Wink, wink. Yes, I know you do. And Joe says, better than the food was the great conversation. Absolutely. Earl Sticks Brown, great seeing you guys. It most certainly was. You know what I liked about this time, I prefer the layout here better than in Las Vegas, because last year they split the convention, and a lot of people did not make it across the road to the other side.
Yeah, that's what the advantage here is, so big.
Yeah.
They could fit it all into, it was really 5 or 6 exhibit halls that were made into one.
Yeah.
They took the walls down, and they had an exhibit with airplanes. How cool is that?
It's crazy, yeah.
There were cars everywhere, airplanes, decked out pickup trucks, all kinds of crazy off-road pickup trucks.
Yeah. Now, I had a lot of great conversations. So my plan was to go around and kind of interview or give the vendors opportunities to present their product to the audience on LinkedIn that was not able to attend. And a lot of them got a lot out of it, and I got a lot out of it because you learn there's so much great tech that's out there that you don't, unless you're out there talking to the people, you don't necessarily know everything that's available to you. And there were a lot of great connections made.
Absolutely.
And the response on LinkedIn has been tremendous.
Yeah. We love sharing because not everybody could come, and we love sharing that. I mean, I'm just excited that I could come. So I know last year when I couldn't come, I was like, hey, at least I'm keeping up with what's going on out there. But we saw Kylie Filio, great conversations. Cliff, Kylie's boss. Actually, Cliff says that Kylie is the boss now. So Cliff just laid into parts. At one point last night, Cliff really gave me a great introduction to what they do, how they go reduce obsolescence almost down to zero. Pretty cool.
Yeah, they're parts edge. Cliff and Chuck. Chuck doesn't care for these events, but Chuck and I have had lengthy conversations, like old school parts guys.
Yeah,
really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, and then we saw some other cool people. Fred Forden, who's out on his own now.
I missed Fred.
He used to be with a Giant.
He was with CDK.
Yeah, that Giant. Ed Roberts.
Oh, Ed Roberts' session was on point. If you look on LinkedIn, you'll see his session was one of the sessions that I was able to record, and really some great insights, about the people behind the business. One thing that struck me was a lot of these leaders that were up there giving talks and how to build better culture in your stores. None of it was about them. None of it. All of it was about their teams and how their teams contributed to their success.
Jeff Daniel is about to board the airplane. It was so nice to see you, Jeff.
For sure. And Joshua Taylor says, seriously cool dude. Kawasaki H2. Oh, I remember that. You know what a Kawasaki H2 is? It's a two-stroke, what was that? Is it a 500 or a 750? I don't remember the exact CCs, but it's a two-stroke bike that's got a lot of torque.
So let me tell you what happened. Jeff Daniel and myself, we ran into Cesar Augustus.
Yes, I saw Cesar as well.
Cesar has a new guy within Valentino who's a new road warrior for Dealer Scan.
Yeah.
And they were asking, what's the best opening line? What do you think? And he showed me his card that he uses, and it focused on scanning. And I said, well, scanning is what you do, but that's not really what you do for the dealer.
Right.
So I said, well, my idea was something like, why don't you do something like find any repair order information in seconds, not hours.
Right.
And then Jeff Daniel took it a level further. He said, save your service advisors 12 hours a month, because you never have to look for something. So there's some synergy there, when people get together and say, 1 + 1, when people freely share, is not 2, it's not even 3. Sometimes it can be 5, it can be 10.
Yeah.
And when people truly freely share information and all their knowledge, and all of a sudden you're feeding off of what I just said, it could be something dumb, but it gets the good ideas started.
Right.
And then next thing you know, together we're building something really good. But when people hold back and they're afraid to share, they're hurting themselves, because 1 + 1 ends up being 1.5.
Yeah.
Or 1. It's like 1 + 1 = 1, because it's not the 1 + 1. It's actually 1 - 1. You end up with 0.
Yeah, exactly. Now, to that point, I've met a lot of great vendors out there. I also had conversations with some folks. Not everybody was able to get on camera for whatever reason, but it also illustrated that, look, companies pay a lot of money to go to NADA. hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them, some of them millions, right?
Yeah.
And what I found in some is that the teams weren't all 100% prepared. All right, and that's kind of a shame, because if you don't fully understand the product that you're representing, then how do you convey that to somebody that could benefit from it?
I mean, that's a lesson for anyone, and even for myself. You learn at every show. At each show, hopefully, you learn, and you know that next year you're going to come back more prepared in certain areas. But you should be prepared. You got to have a plan, a game of attack, and that even Ed Roberts in his leadership speech, he talked about how every day you should have a plan, and so much more when you come to NADA. Have a plan. What are you trying to accomplish here?
Yeah.
And those teams, I ran into some that had a great plan. Jamie Bob was on LinkedIn, awesome LinkedIn connection, and
this was her first NADA.
Yes. At first, she was like, I'm a little nervous because this is my first NADA, and then I saw her 3-4 hours later. I said, "How's it going?" I said, "I'm good."
Like a
it's
pro.
Really.
And congratulations to Amanda Sorrell, also with Recover. This was her first NADA. It's always nice to see people coming into our business and kind of growing and flourishing and learning from events like this.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Joshua Taylor said, Cliff is a seriously cool dude. He absolutely is. It's so funny because when, Cliff was with us at the dinner, and I didn't put two and two together because all of my interactions have been with either Kaylee or Chuck Hartle. And I knew but I never had a conversation with him. So all of a sudden it dawned on me, oh, that's who it is. And then it was incredible, to break bread with the guy, to have good conversations.
Yeah, down to earth guy. I mean, really, just such a nice guy.
Let's see here. We have.
Who's LinkedIn user? Could that be Lamont?
Yeah, it is Lamont.
Hey, Lamont. How are you?
For some reason, Mike Vogel became LinkedIn user.
Oh,
I don't know what
so
happened
maybe
there.
It's Mike Vogel then.
No, this one is Lamont because he clearly stated that's Lamont.
Oh, okay.
So I'm glad they're letting us know which LinkedIn user it is.
Yeah.
Joshua says 998cc, 4-stroke supercharged, 195 horsepower, naked bike. Wait, an H2? The H1s and the H2s were 2-stroke bikes, unless they were revamped. I'm old, so I'm thinking of the original ones, so I could be a little off there. And my good buddy Steve Apicella. It's great to see Robert Sebastian and Paul Meijer at NADA 23. It was a great breakfast. Thanks, Steve.
It was nice seeing you. I wasn't here yet for that, but
it was phenomenal.
That's really why I bought the ticket. I saw you at breakfast.
That was great. We had Steve's team, some of Steve's team, and the team with Polly. Great to meet some of those guys and see some of them again. And Joshua Taylor says, so many sales reps couldn't tell me details beyond the pitch.
Yeah.
I ran into some of that as well. And that's kind of a shame because it shouldn't go just into pitch mode, right? I discovered a secret, maybe not a secret, but I've found that the secret to success is to build a community, right? You build a community, you nurture that community, and you leverage that community to get at their tribe. And the byproduct of that community is that they buy your products and services.
Yeah.
And it works in any business.
Yeah, and to that point, Joshua, so that was good.
Yeah.
Building the community and you getting access to their community because of your expertise, because of who you are. They get to liking you and they give you access to their community. So, yes, I have talked to some sales reps that totally missed the point that I got excited about one feature of what they were offering. And they said, but we offer everything. Wait a minute. That was my hot button. Focus on that a little bit and say, oh, yeah, even though to them that's kind of a 3% of what they do.
Right.
But that's my pain point, that I'm trying to solve. So,
So the takeaway is do a better discovery and tailor your presentation around what's hot for you, or you, or you.
Right, right. So one of the good ones was that I recorded without any sound because someone forgot to turn on the microphone. Yeah.
Hey, we all do that stuff.
Oh goodness! So this guy in 2 minutes went so deep into their product. So shuttle management software. If you're
Quick Ride.
Yeah, Quick Ride. Fernando Uribe.
Yep.
He covered that with me. But they had a case where they had dealerships. The rooftops were kind of close to each other, and they had like 10 shuttles.
Yeah.
And with the software management, with Quick Ride, they were able to reduce it to 7 shuttles and reduce the wait times from half an hour to an hour to like 10 minutes. So it's pretty impressive. And the service advisor doesn't have to call the driver or text the driver.
It's all in the dashboard.
It's all in the dashboard. And it costs, I think, like $500 a month. You get reimbursed.
They have different plans.
And let me tell you, they are not paying me a commission. But I was just so impressed because if you do a few warranty claims, let's say you do 10 warranty claims a day that you can get reimbursed at $15 for the ride.
Yeah.
In 2 or 3 days, it pays for the software.
Well, the other thing I like about it too, and this is ultra important, right? We do our best at the stores to improve the customer experience. And part of that involves offering transportation, right? You don't necessarily want half of your customers sitting in the waiting area, bouncing back and forth to the desk, say, hey, how much longer, how much longer? So a lot of stores offer shuttle services. Now, I'm all for shuttle services. I use Uber. I don't use Lyft, but a lot of people use Lyft. And that's good. But here's my take on the shuttle service and using something like Quick Ride. Everybody has that guy or that gal that has been with the store for 100 years. And maybe half of them shouldn't really be driving because they're too old. But the dealers are reluctant to let them go because that's their whole identity for a lot of these people. They've been in the store for so long that they're afraid to let them go because there are cases where people have expired, we'll say, not long after losing the one thing that they really love. Now, my take on something like Quick Ride, when you're offering your customers a shuttle service, if you have an outside agency, okay, then let's say I've got a 5-year-old car that's in for a service at your shop, and I get in the Uber driver or Lyft driver's 2-year newer vehicle that might feel a little bit nicer than the car that I left in the service department. Now, the conversation with the Uber driver is going to be, wow, what kind of car is this anyway? Now you've got the Uber driver selling the virtues of the car that they're driving, which may not be your OEM. I don't think you really want that. If you have your drivers driving your product with your customers, then it's going to be a newer vehicle. So naturally, they're going to like it more than their old vehicle that's in for the shop. But now they're having a conversation with a trusted friend, right? Because that's how they view a lot of these shuttle drivers. And they're selling your store. They're building and furthering the relationship with your store. You're not risking them going to somebody else. Let's see.
Absolutely.
We got a couple of comments here.
So Lamont commented about the plan. You got to have a plan.
Gotta have a plan.
And Joshua was making some good points there about it takes preparation. Preparation. You can't just put a gallon of gasoline for a 1,000-mile trip. That was his comment that I saw. And that's how it is when you send your team to NADA,
right,
with only the pitch, but not the substance behind the pitch.
Right.
And that's really sad because the people that are coming, they want the substance. They want the hey, what will this do for me long term, not just, okay, the few highlights.
Right.
NADA, I mean, there's 3.5 days, so there's plenty of time, even though there's a lot of products, but a lot of people go looking for a solution for a couple of issues that they have.
Yeah.
They're not going to have to look at everything. So they have the time. They do want to hear, what will you do for me? How will this help me?
Right, because everybody cares about what's in it for them.
Right.
Stephen Wassner, great discussions between two industry leaders. Thank you, Stephen. It was so great to, Stefan, it was so great to see you at Robert's session and get a chance to have a conversation with you. Really had an enjoyable time there. LinkedIn user says, yes, it's a must to have a plan. There is no leading if you do not know where you're going. Lamont. And Stefan says, great to see you face-to-face at NADA. Marshall Sheldon, hashtag SDL takeover. Yes, SDL was in full representation.
That's right.
Let's see here. Joshua Taylor, did you read this one already or no?
Yeah, well, I commented on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's going unprepared
Okay.
to the show is like putting a gallon of gas
Yes.
for a 1,000-mile journey.
Mark-
Won't get you far.
Marcia Sheldon, the most dangerous phrase, we've always done it this way. Hey, you want to pop your head in?
You can photobomb us.
You
from
can
the back.
photobomb us from the back.
Actually,
No,
I'm gonna-
right now. I think we'll
I'm
go
gonna-
team for dinner. So what are we talking about? Let's
Are you
talk.
on NADA?
Wait,
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
of course.
What are we talking
Are
about?
we live?
NADA.
Yeah, we're live right
We're
now.
live.
What are we talking? What's the premise of this
Hi.
conversation?
Who's out there?
Well, let's just say right now we're talking about vendors who are not really all that prepared to present their own product.
Oh, really?
You want to
There we
talk
go.
about a product demonstration?
It's not that kind of show.
Not that bad.
No, actually, I don't even want to get it.
Hi, everybody. Hope
What company are you with?
Snapcell.
Okay.
Do you want a demo? Because I can knock it out.
You
But
can knock
I'd
it out.
I
rather
can
just
knock it
have a
out. I can do
conversation.
the elevator
Yeah,
pitch for you.
conversation.
And then we can figure out what the needs are, and then we can address
Actually,
them.
I need to go to bed. So I'm like, this NADA has worn me out. But what are you guys talking about? Seriously, though.
We're on
We're on a
LinkedIn
live.
Live right now.
We're on LinkedIn Live.
Paul Meijer Sunday Night Live, so make sure you
Amazing.
tune into it.
Amazing.
We have some impromptu guests.
That's it.
Yes,
That's
every
it.
Sunday night he's got a show.
I know.
Different guests.
We know.
They're awesome. Oh, you know.
Because
And
I
we're
know
live
him.
right now.
It was
and
great
to
I'm
see
going
you.
to stay off camera.
Get a hold of me. We'll
Pleasure.
do something.
And the entire
I'll call you
automotive
when I get
industry is
Please
watching.
do. All of the industry.
All of the industry.
I hope we get something out of it.
They always do.
Joshua Taylor says, exactly, Robert. Marshall Sheldon, is that a pocket square you got there, Paul? Of course. You know, I have to say, I think my wife might have done something to my ascots. Because before the trip, I went to my tie rack and I was looking for my ascots, because that's casual. Why are you laughing?
Some people don't know what ascots are. And you're starting to say something about ascots. Sorry. We're at NADA, and you know what? We didn't come here to play, but it has been a lot of fun. But also, we didn't come here to play. We took care of business. Imagine if you showed up with an ascot around your neck, and I show up with a bow tie.
Yeah. I swear to God, my wife must have hid them on me, because I know where I had them and they were missing from that location. She hates when I wear them. She says I look like Thurston Howell III when I wear it. It's one of those silk, it's kind of like a tie, a gentleman's tie, if you will, which is fluffy inside the shirt. All right. They were fashionable years ago. I figured I'd bring them back. Everything comes back, right? Over time.
You know, I wouldn't care. It's 32 degrees outside. It's windy. I want an ascot.
See?
I want a scarf right now. It got so cold here. Tomorrow there's going to be a winter storm.
Google it, and don't get the cheap ones. Get a silk one, because the cheaper ones, they scratch your neck.
She's not wrong, Paul. Josh
Marshall Sheldon is the, oh yeah, we covered
Oh,
that.
guys, so I want to show you something since we're talking about gear. This is I'm not paid by these people. This is a bearskin hoodie that you see on YouTube advertised.
Wait,
It's
bearskin?
Yeah, $100.
I thought bearskin was like brown or black.
Well, anyways, talking about delivering on your promise and not breaking your promise. So they advertise it as a thicker, and you don't really have to wear layers. So when it's 32 degrees outside, you put on an undershirt, a shirt, and this thing,
That's
and
it.
you stay warm. And it has like 10 pockets. I mean, look at it. Pockets on the sleeves.
Doesn't feel
pockets
very thick.
No, it's not thick.
But
But
it's
it
warm.
has, yeah, and it has the Velcro sleeve. So this is a company that advertised a lot on YouTube.
Huh.
It's got the guy shedding all the layers and putting a bearskin. But when it arrived and I started wearing it, I was like, on cold mornings in Charleston, we get some cold mornings. So
Yeah.
I go out and it lives up to the hype.
Huh.
So it's just one of those things like, look, I'm talking about it, right? Because they made a promise in their advertisement.
Yeah.
They delivered. It took them a while to deliver, but they said it would be like 5 or 6 weeks. And then they followed through. That thing lives up to the hype. So how
What size
important?
is that? A large?
Yeah, it's
If it's missing, you might have left it behind or something. There's no
It-
implication
it's-
that
it's-
I would have it.
that's right. So nice. If you don't have an ascot, have a bearskin.
Listen, I know you're talking smack about the ascot.
No,
Like
no,
my
I'm
wife.
not. I'm all for the ascot. And Joshua said your wife's not wrong, but the reason I'm saying that because this goes to what we were talking about, the vendor
Yeah.
explaining things correctly and
Yeah.
helping you understand the features and the impact of their product. And that's what I told actually Valentino from Dealer Scan.
Yeah.
I said, don't sell the product, sell the impact. Fill the gap. There's a gap between where they are now and where they want to be.
Right.
And say, how do we fill that gap?
Right.
And by the way, there's a book written by Keenan who is
Gap selling.
Gap Selling.
Yeah. No, he's got
Yeah,
some
the
good
book,
stuff.
I haven't seen Keenan in a while on
Yeah.
there, but Gap Selling is good, and that's what sell the impact. How does that?
What's
if I'm
the
selling
benefit?
brakes, I'm selling the lack of impact.
Right. Pun intended.
Pun intended. Or if you're selling tires, you're selling the lack of impact.
Yes. Yeah. You're right.
The
You're right.
impact is the lack of impact. But focus on how are you making people buy improvements. They don't buy products. So that's what they
Right.
need to do. It's not like, oh, this is the feature, but what's the improvement to my life? How will
Right.
you improve my bottom line
What's
by
in
me
it for me?
participating? What's in it for me?
Yeah.
And the more you can articulate that, the better you can articulate the impact for the client, whether you're a vendor or we're doing it in the service department,
Yeah.
the more they're going to see the value and they're going to think that they got away with a steal.
Yeah.
Even if it's an expensive product, they're thinking, oh man, this is going to cost me $2,500. And when you tell them it's $2,250, you say, hey, I saved $250.
But you know something? It's not even about price most of the time. It's about understanding the value. If they understand the value, the price becomes secondary. I mean, how many studies have they done?
Right.
Tons.
But if we stutter too much, other than if you're a stutterer, then it's okay to stutter. But if we stutter too much in delivering the value, explaining,
Yeah, that's so wrong. That is so wrong.
well, no judgment. No, I stutter sometimes. I'm not a natural speaker, and I say, you know what?
You got me fooled.
Screw it, let's do it. I heard it from Richard Branson. He says, screw it, let's do it. So you have to be able to articulate it, and the better you articulate that value, the more. But if you don't articulate it well, it doesn't matter how good of a deal it is, I'm going to feel like it's not a good value, like I'm
Right.
overpaying.
Right.
And by the way, tires, I don't know why we're talking tires, because there's a lot of equipment, UVI, traction, there was a lot of all the typical codes, Hunter. Everybody
Great
was there.
technologies.
Yeah, and everybody is telling you that you should be in the tire business. So when you do tires, I mean, the Kia dealer local in my town had a deal, buy 3, get the 4th one for $1.
Yeah.
I paid $760 for a set of Yokohama tires with an alignment included.
That's a great price.
$760.
On the van or something?
Yeah,
That's a great price.
I would have paid that anywhere.
Now, while we're on tires, opportunity, right? The tire is the gateway to service, and I was in a couple of Tesla vehicles, and I neither of them wanted to go on camera. They were all very camera shy. I was thoroughly disappointed because this guy was giving me some great intel on Teslas. And he said he had his car for 70,000 miles. And other than he's about to get his 3rd set of tires, that's it. He's done a few air filters along the way. And my cousin has a Tesla. He says, I just ordered the air filter and I put it in myself. It takes minutes to do. He says, but the tires I can't do And because of the weight of the electric motors, these cars tend to go through more tires. So if we are transitioning over, and I realize it's not going to happen overnight, okay? We're at, I think, about 5 or 6% adoption right now on EVs in this country, which is low. Europe is a greater number. So if the opportunity is tires and air filters, now, although these cars have brakes, guess what? Regenerative braking from the electric motors means that in 70,000 miles, this guy has not needed brakes. And I think the last time he was in for service to get his tires replaced, his brakes still look like brand new. So if you don't get in the tire game, you will lose them, right? EVs gives you another crack at the apple. Because if I own one of these sophisticated electric vehicles, I might not want to take it to an aftermarket shop. I probably want to go to the dealer who has the best facilities, the best trained technicians, and they're up on the latest technology. But don't think for 1 second, even a nanosecond, that the aftermarket, which is aggressively going after your customers, don't think for a second that they're not going to get geared up on this EV bandwagon and start going after that business. So we've got a shot at it again.
Absolutely. Just in case anyone, there's no one on this show that considers becoming an Uber driver in Dallas, but Tesla 3, you know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
I think a car company used to have this slogan that says "like a rock." But anyways, in that, yeah, I think it was Chevrolet. But in that case, it was good. It's like It's tough, like a rock. I think what they were saying. But a Tesla rises in downtown Dallas on these roads as if you were riding on rocks.
It's funny you made that observation too, because that was the complaint that the Uber driver had. He says it doesn't ride as well as I'd like it to.
They're not for this road. They're great for smooth roads and all that, but not Dallas.
Yeah.
Here, the best one out of it, and we've been taking Ubers all weekend, all
week.
event long. So the Explorer actually wins for me. Great ride quality. I don't think the driver was happy that I asked him to turn the music down because I was in his DL. Said, "I'm sorry, I'm in a Zoom. Would you mind? No music." He looked at me like, "No music? Who are you, the customer?"
What were you thinking?
Oh, and by the way, a side note, Uber driver, and this is so important. Another driver who was really nice, and at that point, he wore me out so bad that I didn't even want to give him good advice. He asked me at least 27 times on a 15-minute ride. Well, he told me, "God bless you," about 50 times, and then 27 times he asked me to give him a 5-star review. I said, man. "Okay, sir, you give me a 5-star review." "Okay, 5-star review." I'm like, I want to jump out of the car if you say it one more time. I literally just pull over. I'm getting out of the car. He had great service. The car was really clean.
Like, don't sell past the close.
Right. It's like, it's enough to say it one time and say, "Hey, the 5-star review is very important to me. Please rate me 5 stars." That's enough. And just do a great job.
Now, on this Tesla thing, one feature that I've never seen in another car blew me away. And, I bet you some people would even buy the car because of that. You know what that feature is?
The push-button door opener.
No, I hated the door opener.
Oh, okay.
I hated that. No. When you put the left or right signal on the screen, you see like a backup camera, but on the side. So you see everything that's on the side of the vehicle. On the left side, if you're turning left, so you see, my car has a little, but no, I know, it sounds like crazy.
No, it's good. I just remember something else about another car. Go ahead.
My light blinks on the mirror to let me know there's something in my blind spot. But there's nothing, and I repeat, there is nothing like seeing a video of everything that's next to you and behind you. There is no mistaking that. Let me just get to a couple here. We got Steve Apicella. The lack of depth in some instances is driven by rent a team. You know what? There were actually a couple of rental presenters. You're right about that. unfortunately, some of the ones that I spoke to that didn't know were not rental people. Let's see here. Approaches to increase the company's representation at the event. In my opinion, the bigger visual isn't worth the shallow content. Absolutely. Joshua says, Highlander hybrids, black was the best ride I had all weekend.
Nice. So, you know how Uber has standards?
They're all automatic.
You have to be like, yeah.
They were all automatic.
No. I need. So they have a standard as a. They don't have not even one standard, but they do have a requirement that the vehicle would be, I don't know, at the most 3-4 years old.
Oh, I know where you're going with this one.
But apparently there is no requirement that the vehicle has a door handle. I can't even say a door handle.
And it wasn't a Tesla. We're not going to say what it was, but Robert goes for the handle. There's nothing there. All of a sudden, I see this giant Uber driver reach back and open the door.
Yeah, we were in a Hyundai Genesis with no door handle. Oh man, I promise you guys that there has been no alcoholic beverages consumed today.
Not today, but last night. The reason I slept through this morning is I'm not really much of a drinker, but when you hang out with Michelle and Justin, all happens. I had some fireballs. I had several fireballs.
We may have hit a new low.
I think so.
I've got friends in low places, but this was lower than that.
Let's see. Steve Apicella, we used Uber Black SUV throughout the event. The standards for Uber Black have noticeably slipped.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I get the cheapo, the X one. Whatever the cheapest one is what I get. Because it's not like I'm going to keep it. I'm just going from A to B. So that's a little bit of the fun that we had at NADA this year. The fun is not over because Robert and I, after we leave the show, we're going for barbecue.
Barbecue. Can I just say one more thing?
You can say whatever you want.
So I'm in the alley, I'm in the hallways, and I run into Steve Apicella. I ran into Steve Apicella also, which, I mean, some people I just want to touch. They hem up their garment and get some of the greatness. You know, Steve Apicella, much respect to what you're doing with your product and company. David Spizak, and I just had an impromptu coaching session from David Spizak, and he gave me some pointers on some of the stuff that I'm doing, value, because he knows valuation and he knows how to strategize and go to market strategies. So I really appreciated that. You know, that's just the beauty of this event. And by the way, Rob Charbonneau said he walked into the exhibit hall at 8:10. Because he's an exhibitor, he could walk in a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And it took him till 9:30 to make it 300 yards because you keep bumping into people, and because of SDL in part, and in other part because we all have other connections and people that we know in the industry. You couldn't walk 50 feet in this place that has 10,000 people without bumping into someone that you know.
Many.
And I'm walking with a couple of people at one point, and I kept losing my party because I kept stopping with someone.
Yeah, no, it was crazy.
It was like Sean Ugrin, you know, Sean. You remember Sean? He was at a conference many years ago. That's where I met him. But I kept in touch.
Who was he with? Was he with Draver?
So I don't know who he was with. No, he was with Spiffit. Huh. He used to do spiffs, but he's been really on the forefront, kind of keeping up with the changes in electric vehicles and everything. So I don't even know. I didn't get to talk to him. I saw him twice, but he was talking to someone. We said hello, and both of us had to keep walking, so I couldn't even catch up with him. There were several people that I wanted to catch up with, and I couldn't even find them in the showroom.
There were still a lot that I didn't see, but I'm thankful because there were a lot more that I saw this year than last year. And you know what? There was one guy that Jeff, he just blew me away. Network. Your network is very, very important. And the great thing about the LinkedIn community is that you have the opportunity to impact others. Now, through SDL, Service Drive Live, where 30, 40 people get together on Sunday mornings. My apologies for sleeping through this morning. It was the fireballs that did me in from last night. But we collaborate and we help each other, because a problem that you may find insurmountable at your store, somebody else may have already gone through it 30 times. And it's nice to get a fresh perspective from somebody else's point of view as to how they deal with that particular problem. Yeah. But getting back to this guy, Jeff, and I posted it on LinkedIn, build your community, build your tribe, and support each other and help each other. You never know how you're going to impact somebody's life. This guy comes up to me, big smile. I had never met him in person, and he thanked me because I shared his post where his dealership was taken over by another group. And look, let's face it, there's consolidation that happens, and he at that point had lost his job. But in sharing it through my network, which is no different than a lot of other people's networks, and we all do this for each other, it really hit home for him, because it drove the point of how strong your network really is and can be. He said he got so many calls from around the country in support and offering him employment, asking him if he wanted to relocate. So if you see anybody in your network that needs some help, it's not going to kill you to put in a good word for that person. Yeah. Because you may need that help at some point, and we don't always hear about it. It was just kind of a fluke that he came up to me. Or otherwise, I would have never known.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And by the way, on that note, isolation is not good. When you're going through tough times, you're thinking, and sometimes we even feel embarrassment, like I'm unemployed and I'm not good enough. Heck, I sometimes think I'm not good enough to be in the room. I'm like, who am I to be with these awesome people, right? And that's just the way the brain works sometimes. But reach out to someone if you're dealing with something, whether it's a job loss or some other stuff. And I'm thinking about one of our friends, I'm not going to say a name, who said he needs some time away because he's dealing with a lot of stuff. But one of the other people in the group said, look, when you're going through stuff, don't isolate.
Right.
In fact, congregate. Go get around people. And we love you, man. No matter what anybody's going through, there's a group of support here.
Anytime. I mean, I'm happy to field a call. My number is 203-257-4727. And I have a thing where if I'm awake, I'll take the call. So if anybody needs to talk about anything, feel free.
Yes, here. My number, we'll put in on the post, 843-345-6172. 843-345-6172.
So Joshua says, my ride into the airport was rotten. Panel missing, blown rear shocks, windshield smashed, Ford Taurus, which was supposed to be a comfort.
Taurus?
Wow. That's bull.
Do they still make the Taurus? Was it in 1991?
Did you catch that?
That's bull. Yeah. Hey, so I heard while we were here, archaeologists have been doing some research on technology.
Oh.
And in New York, they dug down 10 feet and found this copper wire. And by the shape and by just what it looked like after analysis, they realized that New York actually had telephone and communications 100 years earlier.
Oh, is that a joke? I thought you were lining up a joke.
Whatever. 100 years earlier than they had initially thought. Before Alexander Bell said hello, 100 years earlier, New York actually already had communications set up. Because of this wire, they determined that. So California archaeologists also dug down, but they went 20 feet. They also found a copper wire, and they determined that California had communications 200 years earlier than Alexander Bell. I think it's Alexander, right? Bell said hello. Bubba in Texas dug down 30 feet and found nothing, which led him to believe, without any doubt, that Texas had wireless communications Long before. Oh man, everything's bigger in
my
Texas
God.
and better.
On that note, we're gonna sign off.
He didn't know what he was doing when he invited me here. But hey, guys, NADA really worth it. I mean, some people say, is it worth it? I think it's worth it. You learn a lot, get exposed to a lot of good stuff, and get to see a lot of awesome people.
Thank you for watching. I hope you had a good time at NADA. If you're home, I hope you go through and watch some of the product demos that were done live at the event, and reach out to some of these folks. Learn more, because invariably there are things that you're going to pick up that you didn't know existed. And there's some really great tech out there. So have a safe and successful next week. Robert, any final thoughts other than a joke?
Hey, give it your all. Wake up from the time you wake up, give it your all. And we all have a song within us. Don't take it to the grave. I heard someone say that most people take their song to the grave. So like Joshua Taylor,
Yeah.
his song is taking care of technicians, and he's on a mission. I believe he's going to make a huge impact.
Huge.
And everyone, whatever that passion is, pursue it with your all.
Awesome. Thanks for being on.
Thank
Let's
you.
go for some
Thank you for having me.
barbecue. We'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live.